Workplace Harassment Training, presented by Cushion Employer Services. Workplace harassment violates Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Americans with Disability Act, and other federal and state authority. Harassment is defined as unwelcome verbal or physical conduct based on race, color, religion, sex, whether or not of a sexual nature, and including same-gender harassment and gender identity harassment, national origin, age 40 and over, disability mental or physical, sexual orientation or retaliation when the conduct is sufficiently severe or persistent to create a hostile work environment, or a supervisor's harassing conduct results in a tangible change in an employee's employment status or benefits. For example, demotion, termination, failure to promote, etc. Two types are 1. Bullying, 2. Sexual. Those involved in harassment are those who commit harassment, could be employees from any level, customers, vendors, suppliers, and those who are targeted, victims, bystanders, and in some cases witnesses who are affected by the harassment. Bullying is the persistent use of offensive behavior which gradually undermines a person's self-esteem and confidence. It is shown through behavior. The two typical bully behaviors are acts of commission and acts of omission. Both of these acts are driven by the bully's need to control. Bullying by commission. Acts committed by hostile verbal or nonverbal communications and interfering actions. Examples include use of racially derogatory words and phrases, demonstrations of a racial or ethnic nature such as use of gestures, pictures, or drawings, making disparaging remarks about an individual's gender that are not of a sexual nature, negative comments about an employee's religious beliefs or lack of religious beliefs, negative comments regarding an employee's age, derogatory or intimidating references to an employee's mental or physical impairment. This list is intended to be representative of the types of activities that may result in corrective action. It is not intended to be comprehensive. Bullying by omission. Withholding resources that guarantee failure. Examples include withholding time, information, training, support, equipment. There is a myth in the business world that supervisors need to be behind employees, cracking the whip, in order to increase performance. While it is true that an organized system of working with some form of strategic planning will help in working environments, abusive management and arbitrary styles of management cross the thin line between effective and abusive management. A manager who shouts at and humiliates individuals builds up resentment and hostility in those persons. Bullying is nobody's best interest. Both the employer and the employee are in a lose-lose situation. The employer will experience a higher rate of absenteeism, high turnover, and low morale. The employee will experience high levels of stress, a miserable work environment, and low performance. Disrespectful or unprofessional treatment of customers, coworkers, or visitors is against the company's standards of conduct. Treating people with respect is a condition for continuing employment with the company. If you personally or if you witness any acts of bullying, report it to your supervisor or human resources as soon as possible. Moving on to sexual harassment. Sexual harassment is defined to be any unwanted verbal or physical advances, sexually explicit derogatory statements, or sexually discriminatory remarks made by someone in the workplace, which are offensive or objectionable to the recipient, or which causes the recipient discomfort or humiliation, or which interferes with the recipient's job performance. Sexual harassment is illegal both under federal and state law. Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 strictly prohibits sexual harassment. Title VII classifies sexual harassment into two categories: quid pro quo and hostile work environment. Quid pro quo is Latin for this, for that, or something for something. Quid pro quo sexual harassment takes place when a supervisor or someone with authority over an individual demands sexual favors from that individual in exchange for assistance in promoting, hiring, or retaining the individual. It is a tangible employment action taken against the victim. The demand for sexual favors can be expressed. For an example, if you go out with me, I will make sure you keep your job or get a raise. Or it can be implied from unwelcome physical conduct such as touching, grabbing, or fondling. Hostile work environment. Morally and under the law, an individual has the right to work in an environment that is free from discrimination, intimidation, insult, and ridicule. Hostile work environment occurs if sexual harassment unreasonably interferes with an individual's work performance or creates an offensive or intimidating work environment. In order for an individual to have a claim for hostile work environment, he or she must be able to prove there was more than a single incident of harassment or that the sexual conduct was unwelcome. Conduct that makes the workplace sexually charged does not have to be directly aimed at an individual in order for it to be harassment. For an example, being subject to pornographic posters or profanity can create a hostile work environment. Be mindful of what you say. If what you are about to say might offend someone, don't say it. Sexual harassment occurs when unwelcome behavior on the basis of sex affects a person's job and makes the employee feel uncomfortable. Behaviors that constitute sexual harassment may include, but are not limited to, the following: visual harassment, such as posters, magazines, calendars, etc. Verbal harassment or abuse, repeated requests for dates, lewd comments, sexually explicit jokes, whistling, etc. Written harassment such as love poems or letters, graffiti. Physical harassment, unnecessary touching, patting, pinching, or kissing, also includes physical assault or rape. Some forms of sexual harassment may be more subtle, such as offensive gestures, subtle pressure for sexual activities, leering or ogling, frequent brushing up against another's body. Some forms of sexual harassment that fall into quid pro quo include promise of promotions, favorable performance evaluations, etc., in return for sexual favors. Demanding sexual favors accompanied by implied or overt threats to a person's job, promotion, performance evaluation, etc. It is part of company policy to ensure all employees are treated with respect and dignity. Engaging in, condoning, or not reporting harassment is in direct conflict with our policy. When you are at work, remember to avoid behavior that has sexual overtones, including complimenting a person's body, asking questions about a person's sex life, going overboard when talking about personal sexual life, asking to date someone who has repeatedly said no. Keep your work area decorated appropriately. There should not be posters, pictures, or other items that some people could find offensive. Don't use sexual or offensive humor. Don't go overboard. Remember, harassment may be done unintentionally. You may say something that does not offend you, but it may offend someone else. Be mindful how others will feel and react to what you say and your actions. You and your company could be liable for damages of harassment even outside of work. Don't take the risk. Be mindful of what you say and do at office parties, picnics, or after-work socializing, especially when alcohol is involved. You still have to work with these people. Remember the rules of proper conduct. If someone tells you that they are offended or asks you to stop, then do not continue the behavior. Includes companies, customers, vendors, suppliers, employees, etc. Don't harass any of them or let them harass you. Harassment is a serious issue. When an alleged incident or harassment is made aware by the company, Human Resources investigates. In the event an investigation of an alleged incident of harassment proves that an employee engaged in actions or conduct constituting harassment, appropriate disciplinary action is taken up to and including termination. A case of harassment could cost you your job. It is your responsibility to know and comply with our policy and procedure, which we are providing to you now. Also, you can always view the policy in the employee handbook found on HR Connection. Tell the harasser to stop. Report incidents that you experience directly or witness. The company does not tolerate any form of employee harassment. Employees, supervisors, and management are responsible for reporting any and all alleged incidents of harassment to the immediate supervisor, Vice President of Operations, Chief Financial Officer, human resources representative, or the president, whichever is appropriate. Complaints and actions to resolve complaints are handled as confidentially as possible. Cooperate with investigations. Be honest. If after an investigation is completed and there is no sound proof that a team member provided false information, disciplinary action may be taken, up to and including termination. Preventing and not participating in harassment is not only the right thing to do, it is the smart thing to do. The company is committed to providing a work environment where all individuals are treated with respect and dignity. Let's work together to accomplish this goal.